All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Tuesday?
17th.
17th, yep. Today, Paul faces more opposition in Corinth. Acts chapter 18, starting at verse 12. But when Gallio became governor of Achaia, some Jews rose up together against Paul and brought him before the governor for judgment. They accused Paul of persuading people to worship God in ways that are contrary to our law. But just as Paul started to make his defense, Gallio turned to Paul's accusers and said, "Listen, you Jews, if this were a case involving some wrongdoing or serious crime, I would have reason to accept your case. But since it is merely a question of words and names in your Jewish law, take care of it yourselves. I refuse to judge such matters," and he threw them out of the courtroom. The crowd then grabbed Sosthenes, the leader of the synagogue, and beat him right there in the courtroom. But Gallio paid no attention. Now the commentary. Gallio served as governor of Achaia, which is now modern Greece, in AD 51, and was the brother of Seneca, the philosopher. He became consul in AD 55. Paul was charged with promoting a religion not approved by Roman law. This charge amounted to treason. Paul was not encouraging obedience to a human king other than Caesar. Paul was not encouraging obedience to a human king other than Caesar. See Acts 17, verse 7. Nor was he speaking against the Roman Empire. Instead, he was speaking about Christ's eternal kingdom. This was an important judicial decision for the spread of the good news in the Roman Empire. Judaism was a recognized religion under Roman law. As long as Christians were seen as part of Judaism, the court refused to hear cases brought against them. If they had claimed to be a new religion, they could easily have been outlawed by the government. In effect, Gallio was saying, "I don't understand all your terminology and finer points of theology. Handle this matter yourself and don't bother me." Crispus had been the leader of the synagogue, but he and his family were converted and joined the Christians, Acts 18, verse 8. Sosthenes had been chosen to take his place. The mob could have been Greeks venting their feelings against the Jews for causing turmoil, or the crowd may have included some Jews. In any case, they beat Sosthenes for losing the case and leaving the synagogue worse off than before. A person named Sosthenes is mentioned in 1 Corinthians 1:1, and many believe this was the same man who, in time, became a convert and a companion of Paul. I think the Jews have gone around this block once before with Christ.
Yeah.
And lost then, and they're losing now.
But you know what I find interesting is that the governor wouldn't hear the case, but he also didn't stand up for the person being beat.
No.
You know, he just walked away, like washed his hands of it, and
just like Pilate did,
and said, y'all handle it.
Yeah.
But he didn't stand up for the violence.
No.
He didn't stop the violence either.
Yeah.
He didn't start it, but he didn't stop it.
I guess he figured it was just the Jews quarreling amongst themselves, and just so be it. But yeah, he's still a citizen, which he should have stepped in.
Exactly.
But he didn't.
Which just leads me to think, we were talking about how the Christians are being persecuted.
Yep.
It's today.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same way back then.
Yeah.
The government do everything they can to persecute Christians for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But they also don't protect Christians.
No.
So that's just kind of what I got out of that. It's just like it was back then.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Nothing new under the sun.
No, it really isn't.
Solomon said.
Yeah, there's nothing. It really isn't. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's weird to see this play out even now that we have so many. We had the state. It doesn't matter. I call the state a government. It doesn't matter whichever government you want to choose, but the state will persecute somebody for saying something against any other religion.
Mm-hmm.
Put you in jail, fine you, whatever. But if you say something against Christ,
Yeah, no big deal. Oh,
Okay, well, whatever,
okay.
you know, but don't you say any cross words against any other religion, but
Right.
Christianity is okay.
Right.
And so, yeah, it is. There's nothing new. They've
Right.
done this since Jesus' time.
Right.
Okay.
And that just proves that they're fearful of Christianity.
Yeah,
they're fearful of God. They're fearful of Jesus. They're fearful of our salvation and the power that comes with that.
Yeah, and it's very true. And that's kind of like a confirmation on. You want to know which is the. I've read this before online somewhere. It said, how with all the gods and all the religions of the world, how do we know which one's the right one? And he looked right in the camera and said, the one you hate.
Exactly.
Because you say a cross word against anybody else, and the force of the world will come against you.
Mm-hmm.
You mention the word of Jesus Christ, and people freak out and have to stop it. Why? If you don't believe it, why does it matter to you? Why does it matter to you?
If it's not real and there's nothing to be fearful of, then why do you care?
Why do you care? Exactly. You know? So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hope everybody has a glorious day, and we'll talk to you later.